Department of Financial Services said it will be opening an investigation into whether or not the Apple Card's credit limit algorithm discriminates against women. Goldman Sachs responding in part saying our credit decisions are based on a customer's credit worthiness and not on factors like gender, race, age, sexual orientation, or any other basis prohibited by law. Joining us now for this and more, Joan Solsman. She's CNET senior writer, and Joanne Lipman, distinguished journalism fellow at the Institute for Advanced Study, also author of #1 bestseller. That's what she said, and a CNBC contributor. Can't we look? I mean, someone knows how algorithms and code are written. Isn't there a way of finding out whether this is true or not?
Actually, these algorithms are a black box.
So nobody does it, but someone wrote them, right?
Someone wrote them. And so here's the issue with the algorithms is that the algorithms are written by humans. They are essentially a language. And if the humans are biased, the bias goes right into the algorithm. And then the information that you feed into those algorithms then becomes biased.
But isn't there a paper trail of whether this is actually happening or not?
I wish there were, and I wish that were the case. But this is actually an issue that is so much larger than Apple, because any company that is using algorithms to make decisions, whether it's on lending, on healthcare, on criminal defense, any of these systems, if there's bias that's built in, then you have bias that comes out.
Although I have a hard time believing that they actually have an algorithm that counts you down if you're a woman. I mean, because that is a violation of law. There may be something else inherently that gets biased into this.
I think there's a lot that's sort of an unconscious bias. So it's the way that your factors are put into it, but it's also the information that's fed into it.
But they ask your salary, I would assume.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you look at the situation where you have people, the couple, right, that started this all, where she's got a higher credit score than he does, and he gets 20 times the higher credit limit. You've got Steve Wozniak, who says, he and his wife have joint everything, and he got 10 times more. So clearly there's something at play, and we have seen bias in other venues as well. And this is not just an Apple issue.
Well, but in that example, it doesn't seem crazy to me. I know it's fun. I'm not saying you are, but just last night looking at Twitter, it was viral. Everybody likes to jump on Goldman Sachs. But in the couple that you described, let's say in this case it's the man, it could be the woman, is the earner. The other spouse is not an earner. They're not always necessarily married and in a union with joint bank accounts. So you could be issuing a credit card. The next day, they could get divorced, and you have one who's more creditworthy that's making a bunch of dough, and you have one who's not.
Though, as Wozniak pointed out, they have other credit cards where they have the same credit limit because everything is joint. So there clearly are factors that are put into there. I do think that there is an enormous issue that we do need to understand because the algorithms are a black box. We should know what's in those algorithms. And it's going to get even more extreme with machine learning, where machine learning, if there's any bias that's going into that information, then it just kind of gets doubled and tripled down upon, like we saw with Amazon. So Amazon was using a machine learning tool to screen resumes, right? And they found that suddenly
inherent bias.
Suddenly they found that it was screening out women because the information that went in to this machine learning, the machine was learning not to hire women because historically Amazon had a poor record of hiring women.
You got an answer for this?
Well, the problem with inherent bias is definitely there, but I think that I don't know how much inherent bias has to do with machine learning in this instance, and just the fact that it's baked into a lot of financial crediting decisions, and not only the ones that are based in technology, but the ones that are just based on human choice. I believe that Goldman Sachs is the one that's taking point on the decisions about approving credits and what credit limits are. And so, Goldman Sachs, although certainly a company known for technology, it's not in the same realm as Apple. And I also think that, Apple, if you're looking at who's going to take some of the blame for this, Apple, I think, has a much better halo than Goldman Sachs does.
I'm just wondering, you would need you'd need to control all the other variables that might go into inadvertently coming to that conclusion, I think. Has that been done? And if you just say it's a black box, then we'll never know. We're just sort of dancing around the edges of what's really happening here.
Yeah, but you're right. We need to have a better understanding of what are the factors that do go into that, and are there factors that we need to think about changing, or is there inherent bias built into them?
Right, and you need to control. There are so many. I'm just thinking about the latest controversy about red meat. It's like red meat does it or doesn't it? And then you find out red meat eaters they always have French fries with their red meat. They also don't work out, a lot of them. So there's all these societal sort of lifestyle choices that are prone to people that eat a lot of red meat. So you need to, and it's never been done where you factored out all the wild cards in it. And just, I mean, it's just really come down to, what kind of chromosomes you have when you're born, or I don't know. And
it'll be interesting to see, we're seeing a lot of the problem of a black box. We're seeing that investigations are the things that are starting to crack that black box open. Those are the ways these investigations in Congress are the ways that we're getting tech companies to start to have to show their cards because they don't have any other choice than to start to turn them over.